Good morning, everybody. I'm recording this on Monday, so I'm looking at the headlines and I'm shaking my head. It's like the headlines are trying to grab you, trying to pull you in, but they're lying. They can't even get the headline right. They're doing everything they can to suck you in. There's so much competition out here on your attention, which is not that much, frankly. We're all that way, So we don't want to spend a time reading something for a half hour, an hour. We just want them to condense it down. So then they create lies. So I'm looking at, well, first off, yesterday I think it was the start of hurricane season. And it goes through October, November, something like that. And they're saying that this is going to be one of those bad years. Of course, they say that every year because it's a headline. It gets your attention. Okay. So as I'm going through these, I just want to kind of talk about what's going on. Ukraine bombed Russia big time. They took out 7 of their billion-dollar bombers. These big monster planes, they took out a bunch of them and some other planes. And I think they even attacked a sub using drones. Russia is not the formidable country that we sometimes fear. Yeah, they have nukes, but that's all they've got. Their technology is antiquated. It's old, falling apart. They don't have the money to spend on it because they're keeping their country afloat, because they're not being nice to the rest of the world, and the rest of the world won't trade with them. So they are going to want to come down and attack Israel in Ezekiel 38 for the spoils, because they need money. That's why kingdoms of the biblical time would attack other countries. Then they'd cart home the gold that they captured to get their country rich again. Okay, Glenn Beck's warning us about AI. AI can be a problem, but it's never going to be self-aware, sentient, becoming alive. That's God's purview, and that's not going to happen. But you can write a program that will, in the background, look for things, find ways to steal your money, scam you, do things like that. AI can help in that. But it's a program. It's a very, very complicated program. And when they combine that with the new robots, I don't know if you've seen some of the new robots in these videos. I'm not sure how much of them are true. Some of them are, but I think some of them are just AI-generated videos. Listen to a video, and you can tell if it's AI-generated because they start saying words. And they're going to get all kinds of words right, but you're going to hear them mispronounce words. Cities and stuff like that. You're going to get them to mispronounce them because they're going to read them phonetically instead of the way they're actually said. So you can tell that it's a computer voice doing it. Fox News, Mark Levin, Iran's nuclear warheads are intended for you and me. Well, we're the great Satan and Israel's the little Satan, according to the Muslims. So yes, they would love to drop a nuke on us. And they might very well do that, but if our government would get their act together and fix this problem, but they've backed down. I don't know what's going to happen. We had a Muslim whose visa had expired. Throw a Molotov cocktail at a Jewish gathering in Boulder, Colorado, injuring a few people. No deaths, but fire is not not good. So there's still problems. Still, we've got people in this country that don't need to be here, and we can't get them out fast enough. Fortunately, the Supreme Court has backed the president in most of his attempts to do that. Another Fox and Friends. I'm not 100% behind Fox because sometimes they do go the other direction, but they're more honest than CNN or MSNBC or CBS. CBS is begging, according to the article that's in here, Trump to drop the $20 billion lawsuit. He didn't file it for flippant reasons. He filed it for a good reason, and they're in trouble. And I hope they get shut down. I hope all the mainstream media gets shut down and the billionaires lose billions. That's my hope. Starship 9 that went up, they're coming back and telling us that things were not as bad as they seemed. It actually was a good flight. A number of things went wrong, but a number of things went right. They got further than they did with the last 2 launches, so that's an improvement. This is a new version. They have not had a successful Block 2 launch yet. Block 1s were the ones that were going up and coming back. This one's now Block 2, and they're having trouble. But he's going to start launching more frequently. And I think that he wants to start next year launching to Mars. And at some point in time, with these big manufacturing buildings they're building now, they're building in Florida and in Texas, he said he wants to make 1,000 rockets a year. That's a lot of rockets. Here's one here. We have a inner invasion. He said he's terrified for the next 3 weeks. Is that a headline-grabbing headline there? John Stossel, somebody else you should listen to. Glenn Beck, I like. John Stossel, I like. Climate Change Myths, Part 2. Liar, liar, world on fire. They're all lies. Yes, we had global warming. It's because we have a sun, and the sun has a cycle, and it was going through a hot cycle. Now it's going into a cold cycle. They're talking about on the Fox News personalities fired for inappropriate language or behavior. Well, I hope so, but I hope it's the right kind of inappropriate, not just not doing what they wanted them to do. Another article is the rapture biblical. If that isn't a trick question, I don't know what is. Of course it is. The rapture is in the Bible. The word rapture is not in the English Bible, but it's in the Latin Bible. But whatever language you use, whether it's harpazo or rapture, it's in the Bible. Multiple places. There are multiple raptures. They're saying that the volcanoes in Seattle are starting to link up underground with lava tubes, and that's going to blow up. Well, it could, but there's no sign of that it's going to blow up. But again, it's headlines. The things that they're trying to spew out here is just, it's amazing. I did see where housing is starting to adjust a little bit. Not enough. It went up 1,000% and it's only come back down 200. So in the South, housing is coming down a little bit. It's still bad in the Northeast. It's going to be bad in any blue state. So it's not going to be good for people wanting to buy houses. Nobody's ready for what's coming. Something big is coming. Well, that's a headline. What have you got? We had a Democrat turned Republican saying she doesn't like the way the Democrats have become communist. This is not your father's Democratic Party. I'm surprised more haven't done that. And I'm surprised that we still have rhinos in the Republican Party. They won't get elected again, I guarantee you, because Trump has a long memory. Trump stopped the Democrats' power play. Headlines. Most people will lose everything. Well, I believe that. When we get to the point of the mark of the beast, they will have power over people because you will be in desperate need to eat. And they will be able to use the mark to get people to sign up so they can eat. There will be an underground world set up to be able to do what they need to do. Headlines. Biden pardons voided. Well, the DOJ is looking at that, and they will probably void most of the ones that are auto pen. They should never have approved the auto pen. Just, don't let this stuff bother you. It's like the meme that you see out there. I'm all stressed out. Click. Oh, I feel better now. Don't watch the news. I look at this stuff just occasionally just because I want to see what the world is being fed. And they're being fed lies. They're being fed lies to the point where they're going to make bad decisions based on those lies. Some of these sites, you can't look at the site name and know what it is anymore. You can't look at the article and know that it is anymore. Look at the number of viewers. Sometimes I see a video that says, this is amazing. You've got to see it now. Look at all the people watching. And I look down, there's 25 people logged into the site. It's probably everybody who works at that site. This is unbelievable. It's happening. Movement in the deep crust underneath the ocean. There's always movement in the deep crust underneath the ocean. It's called continental drift. I watched an old movie. It was color, but it was an old movie. I love old sci-fi, so I watched one last night. Robinson Crusoe on Mars. It's fiction. It's what they thought Mars was like when they came out with the movie. Of course, they had to have aliens, but the aliens weren't from Mars. They were there to mine. But it's a fun exercise to see what people thought back then. Watching old sci-fi, you can see how much we've learned from science and how little we knew from science, and we're making decisions based on the science that was very poor. And even today, it's still very poor. As I'm looking through these headlines, it's just, well, here's a good one. Jan Markell, I don't know if you know her, but she's got Understanding the Times. That's a good site to watch. More John Stossel, I like him. Crisis sufficient for all your crises. Grace to you, John MacArthur. He's aging pretty good, but there's a gazillion videos out there that you can watch that are really good. Bill O'Reilly. He's okay. A lot of the ones that used to work at Fox went off and started their own sites because Fox was bought out and started controlling what was going on. So you got Megyn Kelly out there, Bill O'Reilly, John Stossel. You want to get good news, you got to look for it. When you find it, stay with it. Okay, well, and we've still got, Newt Gingrich. He's a Georgia politician. I knew him when he was here in Georgia before we went to Washington. He's a good guy, but he's getting old too. Not as old as the Democrats. The Democrats just never want to leave. Why would they give up their milk cow that they can just keep sucking on? I hope that we can turn these final blue states, that they finally see what's going on. All right. I've covered enough of this stuff. It is basically, every other site has a lying headline, so be careful. You have to look for the right places. You can block sites after a while. If I see too much of one that I don't like, I'll block them. But you can't believe the headline. You can't believe what the site says. Truth for America is probably lies, if that's the name of the site. That's the devil putting his garbage out there. David Jeremiah, I like him too. Here's one. Hope for our times. A woke Jesus is coming. Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. We'll have to see what happens with the new pope. Musk is no longer directly working with the president. He's going back to his businesses, but what he started, and he wasn't the one that did all the work. He just put a team together, and that team is still out there and going to keep working. And the team doesn't do anything. The team doesn't stop the money from being wasted. It finds it, points it out, and turns it over to the new leaders of that department, or the heads of that government. They've all got new people in there that Trump's put in. And he's still got people that are in the ranks that are bad. And he's weeding them out slowly, waiting for them to expose themselves. They're kind of sitting back waiting in hopes that they can do some damage. All right. Don't read too much of the news. I'll try to give you all the information I can so that you don't have to waste your time doing it. I've just read the news to you. I'm going to go take a shower and get this stuff off of me. Just don't believe everything you read. Try to find another source for something that you see. If it seems extraordinary, it probably is a lie. It's like, they found the ark, but they're keeping it secret. Who do you think you're talking to? If they're keeping it secret, how did you find out? And if they're keeping it secret, they don't want anybody to know they found it. So maybe they didn't find it and you're just making it up. You've got to have some proof to back up what you're doing. I don't know that they found the ark, but I think that they will. I know that the Antichrist, if the ark still exists, will know where it's at. He's going to be instrumental in building the temple, getting the peace between the Muslims and the Jews so that they can build the temple. The Temple Mount doesn't belong to the Muslims. It never has, never should, and should not have been given to them. But eventually, reason and truth is going to come out, and the Antichrist is going to expose it, because they're going to believe he's the real Christ. We're almost there, people. Just keep holding on and don't believe what you read in the news. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless.